journalist Lethe Mavono covers Fiji for the ABC, and it's a delight to have you with us in the studio.
It's nice to finally be here, Beverly.
Indeed. If only for a short time. I know you'll be heading off soon to cover these elections. Let's talk about these two former coup leaders, and Frank Bainimarama, of course, has been there as Prime Minister for a while. Is he going to be able to secure a third term?
Look, I mean, he is the ruling party. He heads the ruling party, and they have quite an unfair advantage. They've been in government for a long time. They're still in government now, even though the government's meant to be caretaker. So they have deep pockets. They have a lot of resources at their disposal, but it's going to be difficult. In the last elections 4 years ago, they struggled to get the absolute majority, and that struggle is worsened by the difficulties that people in Fiji have gone through. People want to change. And even Bainimarama has acknowledged that, because their party is ruling. Their party's slogan for the campaign is "We are the change." So it's definitely going to be an interesting election. It's probably the most contentious of the past 20 years.
That's so interesting. And his opponent, another former coup leader and a veteran of Fiji politics to a degree, Sitiveni Rabuka, he has managed to form quite a powerful alliance.
That's right.
How much of a threat is he?
I think he's a huge threat. The People's Alliance Party and the National Federation Party have managed to build a bridge of sorts across the Fijian society. Rabuka has a very distinct pool. He's got the indigenous people, he's got the urban elites, he's got the intellectuals. But Professor Biman Prasad is currently becoming quite a cult figure in Fijian politics. He's an intellectual, and so a lot of the young, a lot of the liberal, a lot of the socially just in Fijian society want him to lead. So between the two of them, they're going to put up quite a fight, and they've done so in a very structured way. People see them as an alternative government, and they've comfortably positioned themselves to be a government that people can consider. So it's going to be a tussle between these two. I would be very surprised if the ruling Fiji First Party comfortably leads. This should be an election that everyone can watch.
Very
quite excitingly.
Exciting, yeah, and a real choice, you feel, for the first time. So you talked about, I mean, Fiji has gone through COVID and obviously the cost of living that everyone is experiencing. So what are the big issues that people are fed up with?
Beverly, those are the big issues. The entire world is reeling from the economic impact of COVID. So inflation, increasing cost of living, the war in Ukraine is not helping in terms of disruptions to trade. So those are the very similar issues that Fijians are looking to these elections to kind of address. But the cost of living in Fiji has been astronomical over the past 4 years or so. We have more than 30% of our population living under the poverty line, a lot more, close to that. So people are going to want to see a government that can offer some real policies, a creative way out of a difficult economical situation for us. But there's a real call also for accountability, for governance, for a more socially just administration. And this government has not quite enjoyed that as one of their characteristics. So these should be the kind of elections that are going to be very different, because in the past it's always been bread and butter, but it's been 16 years of the same party. People want to change.
Yeah, and it's a different kind of form of society forming, particularly with young people.
That's right.
Who, have access to the world and what might be out there. Tell us about some of the candidates, because there are 55 seats and some interesting candidates have been thrown up.
Absolutely. So we've had an expansion. Our parliament is normally 52, or at least normal over the past 16 years, but that's been increased to 55. So there's a lot more candidates this time around. There are about 342, 46, if I'm not mistaken, and we're seeing a lot of young people. The number of women who are contesting are the same as that of in 2018, but we're seeing a lot more young people, and we're seeing some diversity. I'm very happy to say today I did a call out on Fijian social media and found that there are trans women. There is one trans woman for the first time in our history. So it augurs well, I think, for optimism. People in Fiji want something to look forward to. They want a change and a government that they can relate to. And so we have a large, vibrant LGBTQI community that have not been represented in mainstream Fijian society. So these elections are showing some of that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We can't move past the fact that these are two former coup leaders. Are they're going to accept the results?
I think that is the million-dollar question in everyone's minds, is are Fijians, is the military, is everyone tired enough of the kind of disruptions that political upheavals have had? We have had the commander of the Fijian military forces say that the RFMF will accept whatever decisions, people make when they cast their ballots. And I suppose that's something that all Fijians all over the world hope for. People have left the country in droves because we continue to do this. We continue to take over governments at the barrel of a gun. But I think given the pandemic, given the more frequent natural disasters that, of course, climate change has brought in, people are tired.
Yeah.
They want to move forward, and they want to do it using democracy.
The good thing with the Fijian election system is it's quick and clear-cut.
Very.
So it'll be very clear what's going to happen very soon and whether potentially there's going to be any dissent.
Yes, I think that we probably have the most efficient electoral system in the Pacific, at least, I can say. Our elections happen in a day, polls happen in a day, barring, of course, severe weather, which was the case last time. But even then, we can pretty much tell 24 hours after having cast the ballot what the projections might be, what kind of a government we're looking for. So the first party that gets 28 seats wins the right to form a government. But I don't think that's going to happen this time. I'm not sure that any political party has enough of the ground to be able to get 28 seats on their own.
So they're going to have...
I think they're going to have to horse trade. They will have to go into a coalition government, which, frankly, I think is what the future needs. The future Fiji needs. We need bipartisan politics. We need people to come together and decide, on a way forward that takes care of everyone.
It's great to see there's some sort of excitement and energy about it.
I'm definitely excited about that.
Fabulous to have you with us, and we'll talk, no doubt.
Thank you, Beverly. Yes, good to be here.